within this, this thread of dreams. So you open the brain of a patient, and then what I'm understanding is that the dreams can shed a light into the brain activity itself. It's not only from your end, it is symbolic, but of course you can also see what is actually happening within the brain. So what have you found, some of the truths that the dreams do hold in terms of, the activity within the brain?
So I'll tell you how it looks kind of mechanically. The patient comes on day one, we open their brain in a surgery kind of room, operating room, put electrodes inside, make sure that they're okay, and then we have the wires come out and feed into our computer, and now we get access to their brain activity continuously. So that's the kind of mechanics of that. And then on day two, I, Moran, show up to the patient room and I say, Alex, I know that you're okay, your brain is open, you have electrodes inside, I want to talk to you. Tell me about your life. And the patient might tell me stories about their girlfriend or boyfriend, about their parents, about the music that they like to listen to, the TV shows they watch, the people they vote for. They just tell me stories. And I use those stories to basically get a lens into what is right now in their mind. And maybe they told me 2 hours of stories. Then I go to my team and we create a repertoire of hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures or videos that correspond to the things they care about. So if they say they care about playing a computer game, we create a video of the computer game. If they say that they vote for this person, we make videos of the person they vote for and the person they don't like to vote for. If they say they like some music, we create clips of this music. So we basically create a lot of content that corresponds to the things that are in their brain. And then we come on day three, and I say, now I'm going to have you sit in front of a computer, and just watch for hours videos and clips and images and listen to music. And all we care about is your brain seeing this content and responding to it by recognizing what's in it. And then we can actually look at all your brain cells and we'll see which cell lights up when you hear the Beatles music. And which cell lights up when you see the Eiffel Tower in Paris, if they say that they love to visit Paris. Which cell lights up when you see a TV show that you really, really like. And we basically just show you content and look at your brains, and we look at thousands of cells. And at some point, we show you the Simpsons on the screen. And then we see that one cell lights up and it starts kind of firing and being active. When you see the Simpsons, say, okay, hold on. We may have found the memory or the concept of the Simpsons in Alex's brain. Let's try again. And we show you Simpsons the second time and we see that cell fires again. You say, okay, looks like it's connected. And then we want to make sure that it's right. So we'll show you other cartoon pictures which are not the Simpsons to make sure that it's really the Simpsons and not just cartoons. And we might show you the Minions because they're also yellow cartoon characters. I want to make sure that it's not just yellow cartoon characters, but it's really this particular character. And we really will spend hours fine-tuning it until we know that we found for many, many brain cells the thing that they code, the cell that codes the Simpsons, the cell that codes the Eiffel Tower. And for every person in the world, if you know what the Simpsons are, or if you know what the Eiffel Tower is, it means that you have a cluster of cells in your brain that fire every time I say the Eiffel Tower. So all we need to do is to find them. And we have so many electrodes that we can find them. Once we found them, the fun begins, because then I can talk to you about anything. And if you just think about the Eiffel Tower, I will see it in your brain. I can play poker with you. And if your cards have pictures of the Big Ben in London, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and the pyramids in Giza, I will know what you're seeing just by looking at your brain. And I say, okay, he's looking at the picture of the Eiffel Tower. Or I can have you go to sleep. When you go to sleep, I will tell you before you go to sleep a story. And I'll say, try your best to kind of bring this story into your mind when you go to sleep. And if you will end up dreaming about you going to Paris, I will see it. So I don't have to wake you up. You go to sleep, you sleep peacefully, and I see cell by cell which story you experience. And I can then know your dreams. And then I can start doing psychology 101. I can wake you up and I say, Alex, tell me what you think you dreamt of. And you might say, I dreamt that I was with my mom on the beach. And I say, no, it's not true. He dreamt that he was in Paris. But let's see, why is he saying that he was with his mom on the beach when I know this wasn't the case? So I say, okay, he must have something that he wants to kind of lose or complete in this story. And I can say, I think you actually dreamt about something else. Why do you think that you dreamt of this, not and that? if you tell the story that I think you told the story, I ask you, why do you think you dreamt of the Eiffel Tower? Is it just a memory, or is it something you want to do? We can do the classic kind of Freudian conversation, but now there's something that Freud didn't have that we have, which is the truth. I know what you actually saw. So I can pit against each other the story you tell me and the thing that your brain created. And that, I think, is the big gap that Freud didn't have and we now have.
Wow. And so let's suppose that, God forbid, I'm one of your patients, and I realize that the problem within my brain, or rather you realize with your team, that the problem within my brain is within that memory, within that place where I'm storing the Simpsons. And so you take away that little part of it. So where does Alex, my identity, lie within? If, how can I know that you didn't take a little piece of Alex and that memory of the Simpsons is away from eternity and I will never know what the Simpsons is? Or just, that part of Alex that may be fired from something else, it's never there.
Yeah, so fortunately, the brain was ready for that. And the way it's organized is that for most memories, it spreads them in a relatively organized way, such that if I take... So there are many copies of the Simpsons in Alex's brain. We actually calculated the number, it's about 5 million. So there's 5 million different cells that all fire when you think of the Simpson. And in that sense, if I take only a handful of those cells, you still will know what the Simpson is. But you're totally right. If I take a lot of the brain, you will, at the best case scenario, wake up not knowing things. At worst case scenario, you might really kind of lose all your ability to actually remember. There are some cases of patients like that. They're rare, but that is why we try to really be as kind of precise as possible, so we're not going to ruin a lot. And the part we take out is usually part that is sick. So it's already not doing a good job. So we're not really losing any function. But you're totally right in that historically, when this procedure just started, surgeons used to take a lot more, and many patients lost function. The classical case, there's a famous patient who died recently, but he was in the textbooks for decades, known as HM. Yes, were his initials. And he was a patient that some surgeon took basically an entire part of his brain called the hippocampus, which there are 2 copies, but turns out that one side was not working, the other side was taken out. He lost the ability to use the hippocampi, the 2 of them. And what it led to, kind of phenomenology-wise, was that he couldn't create new memories. The movie Memento is based on this guy. He remembered what was already in until the day that this part of the brain was taken out. So he had memories of the past, but he couldn't take new memories. So every time something happened, for short term, he could kind of understand what's going on, and then it would disappear. And he would, if you would talk to him for like 10 minutes and you left the room and you came back, you wouldn't know who you were. You can introduce yourself and say, I'm Alex, I'm doing this podcast, this is who I am, this is where I live, this and so on. And then you leave the room, you come back and he says, hi, who are you? You say, I'm Alex, and you do it again, and he holds no memories. That's one extreme case. We have multiple cases in the history of neuroscience of people whose brain you took out a part of and some big function lost. And in that sense, to your bigger question, I think, yes, the brain is the sum of all those modules. And if you take out too much, or if you take even small, but something that doesn't have a backup, you lose function and you might not know who you are, not have memories, not have emotions. All of the patients I got to experience, and they're all very kind of disturbing in how it's showing something about us.